Hello and welcome to the parent introductory video. I wanted to introduce myself to you personally. My name is Mrs. Rice. This is my 5th year teaching at Oak Hills High School, and I'll be your student's AP Psychology teacher this year. I just wanted to personally bring a few things to your attention on the syllabus and just to kind of give you a couple of reminders. First, that the introductory video is part of the AP Psychology contract, just so that I can bring some things to your attention. So if you could work through this with your student, making sure that they have a binder, that you've seen the syllabus and the class website, that would be great. This is due on on Wednesday, August 27th, completed and signed by both you and your student. So in looking at the syllabus, I've highlighted a few important things. The first being that on Monday, your student is going to need to have a binder, and it is required that they have a 3-inch binder, which I do understand is like a mothership of binders. So if your student could at least have a 2-inch binder on Monday, that would be great, but I would say by the semester change, they're going to need that full 3 inches because we have so many materials. The idea being that I teach my students organization. I'm a huge proponent of that, but then also they need all of those materials to prepare for the AP exam, which is on May 4th next year. Another thing I wanted to bring to your attention is that I flip my classroom. So it's called the flipped classroom. I did explain this in class, so if you'd like to ask your student, I'm sure that they can explain it to you as well. But what you are experiencing right now is actually part of a flipped classroom. It's when you are receiving content or notes, the material that we study, via some kind of video, and you're doing that at home or at least outside of class. Then once you've taken those notes and you have acquired the knowledge, you bring that to class with you, both your notes and the knowledge in your mind, and you use it. So we're going to have all kinds of different activities and projects and just kind of inquiry-based things in class where students are using that material, which is exactly what they're needing to do on the AP exam in May. So I'm trying to prepare them in that way. So in order for a flipped classroom to truly work, everything really is predicated on the student doing those notes outside of class. So it's imperative that they stay on top of taking those notes. To review for the AP exam, and I kind of brag about this to my students, but it's not really something I can brag about myself. It's better for the students. In this AP class, we have a lot of material to cover, just as all other AP classes do, and it's very difficult to get through all that material. However, in this class, I guarantee you 100% that we will complete all the material, all of the content, with at least 2 weeks to go before the AP exam on May 4th. We will have at least 2 weeks. Last year we had 3 weeks to review all of the material leading up to the exam. So that is huge. I'm hoping that you're taking that into consideration when you and your student think about and make the decision to whether or not to take the exam in May. I also do a different kind of review. Of course, we have outside of class review sessions that are not mandatory but highly recommended. But any student who is getting a test average that's below 70% by about February or March, they're going to have a different review track. And that's not as a form of punishment, but that's recognizing certain areas where they struggle and helping them to do better. Another thing I want to bring to your attention is homework detentions. As I was saying, is that the course and your student's success is entirely predicated on doing the notes outside of class. Sometimes we will do them in class, but they really need to stay up to date on these things. So if they aren't on time, if notes or reading guides are not completed on time, your student will serve a homework detention, which is in the morning. It kind of adds a little sting there and making it more of an incentive to do their work on time. That way they're not having to wake up super early in the morning for a detention. It starts at 7:15. I'll release them at 7:45. The idea being that they have to serve a half-hour detention until the assignment is completed. The reason why I do this is because if I just gave the student a 0, that would make homework optional. It's do the homework or receive a 0. In receiving a 0, they can say, no, I'm not doing the homework. But if they have to serve a detention until completing the homework, that doesn't make the homework optional. They have to get those notes, and I think I kind of overstated that, right? When a student is absent, which is inevitable throughout the 180-day year, I ask that they come back to class fully prepared as best as they can. I understand that there might be really sick, so that's totally fine. But if they're not and just had something going on, they can stay up to date. That would be in their best interest because everything is online. And then finally, I wanted to show you my contact information. This here is my email address, rice_a@ohlsd.org. That's really the best way to get a hold of me. This is also my Google Voice number, which does go to my cell phone. It just gives me some rights in blocking and previewing or hearing messages before I answer the phone call necessarily. And then finally, I wanted to show you our class website. It's a Google site, and parents have full access to this, which you can totally see it right now. If you see on the homepage, you've got our class calendar. For instance, on Wednesday we have reading guide RG, reading guide 1 due, 1A due. So anytime it says due next to the words there, it means that the assignment is due. For another thing here, outrageous celebrity is the topic. That's the activity we're going to be doing in class that day. So your student can see, okay, we're doing that outrageous celebrity activity. I have that in my notebook, and our reading guide was due. The notes are due the next day, so I can come back the next day totally prepared. If you look over on the left-hand side here, each of the units will have kind of a drop-down menu, and you can click on any of these and you will see a link to pretty much anything and everything the student needs, including a link to the paper notes in case they lose them and need to print them out. That's listed here, statistics notes. I give them the PowerPoint without video if they'd like to look through that, and then I give them the video lecture. You can expand, you can open it in YouTube, you can play right from this site. This is the video they have to watch for statistics. I also list some other videos that may be helpful but are not necessarily required, and finally the links to the copies of the activities that we do in class. As always, and I'm hoping to keep communication between you and I completely open, I do send monthly newsletters, so please make sure that you give your student your correct email address to put into the student information form that they're going to be filling out in class on Tuesday. And like I said, I'd love to keep the communication between us open, so please email me if you have any questions or concerns throughout the entire year. I'm really looking forward to working with both you and your student, and we're going to be working really hard all the way up until May 4th for the National AP Psychology exam. Thanks, and let's have a great year.